the news hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live. The news hour, coming to you live from the studios of HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Stay tuned. Download the tuning app onto your mobile phone today and catch up on all the latest news from HitzAfrik Radio. Broadcasting live on modern Ghana and our website www.hitzafrikradio.org. HitzAfrik Radio News Hour live.
Good morning, it's exactly 7 o'clock GMT in the studios of HitzAfrik Radio. Today is the 30th day of March 2021, and we bring you the news for today. Now to the headlines of today's stories. GRIDCO in discussion with ECG over Dumsor timetable. JWCL to spill water from Wager Dam on Tuesday. Esiadu Inketia appointed to serve in government. Al-Shabaab calls for attacks on U.S. and French interests. These are many other stories I bring your way this morning. My name is Abena Ahwinie. Stay tuned as I bring you the news in details. JRIDCO in discussion with ECG over Dumsor timetable from April to July. The Ghana Grind Company Limited, JRIDCO, says it was having a discussion with the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, for them to provide a load shedding timetable following major maintenance works expected in the power sector from April to July 2021. The Corporate Communications Manager of GRIDCO, Mr. Ebenezer Amankwa, in a radio interview with Radio Ghana, monitored by Graphic Online on Monday night, 29th March 2021, explained that some parts of Ghana will soon experience intermittent power outages to enable engineers and contractors work on some substation plants across the country. He said GRIDCO was currently in discussion with the management of the ECG for them to release a load shedding timetable to enable people in affected areas plan their lives properly within the period of the maintenance project. He further explained that the maintenance work on the substation plant has become critical in order to completely resolve the challenge of congestion. He said they will have to engage with the distribution company, agree on specific timetable, and communicate with the affected areas, which means that not every area will be affected unless the project is in a particular area and the duration within which it will happen. He added that they were sure that after July this year, these key projects will be completed and there will be stability in the system. He said they, GRIDCO, have received a lot of communication from the contractors, and therefore they were hoping that by the end of this week, the meeting with the ECG on the load shedding schedule would have been completed. Earlier, Mr. Amankwa, in another radio interview with 3FM on Monday, talked about the areas the constructors are to work on. There is the Pokuase substation, which is being funded by MIDA, that is taking some of the load from Accra. The load is growing because of the population growth and infrastructure growth, so you need a lot of substations that can take the load so that they do not congest with the overuse of the stations already in existence. When you go to Kumasi, for instance, the issue of congestion is still prevalent. There is the issue of Bui Dam as a peaking plant, which has also gone down, giving rise to low power in Kumasi. So you hear some of the people in Kumasi complain that every minute the light goes off because there is a peak demand, and when peak demand is high and there is congestion because of various substations, it is bound to cause outages, he explained. He added, I can also highlight some of the projects we have to solve these problems. In Kumasi, there is a Kumasi Kintampo transmission line project which has been earmarked to be completed in July. When you come to Accra, the Pokiasi substation is supposed to take some of the loads that transmit to Accra to free up space on some of the substations that congestion will be eased. The race in Kaswa bulk supply plant that is being constructed also by MIDA, which is also going to serve the same purposes. As I speak with you, we have had several requests from some of the contractors that are working on the project who are asking for some outages to enable them expedite action on their work by July from the country to have their relief and for customers to be comfortable. Some of the outages are same-day outages in March. Some of them are about 4 days between April and May, and some of them are asking even 2 weeks or 3 weeks outages. So we, our transmitter, will now have to work with ECG as to how we can minimize the impact on customers, how we can balance load distribution to that people and are not necessarily overly affected. We are discussing with the ECG currently so that wherever there is the need to inform the affected areas of potential outages, we will do that with ECG taking the lead, giving us the areas and also the hours or the duration so that people are comfortable. We are looking at this week to engage all the stakeholders and get to an appreciable agreement on the areas to be affected, when they will be affected, and the duration. Moving on to other stories, JWCL to spill excess water from Wager Dam on Tuesday. The management of the Ghana Water Company Limited, JWCL, has announced a planned spillage of excess water from the Wager Dam on Tuesday, March 30th, 2021 at 6 a.m. Areas to be affected are Tetegu, Oblongo, Pambros Salt, Lower McCarthy Hill, Lower Wager, Bojo Beach, Ada Kope, and surrounding communities. The Ghana Water Company Limited, in a press statement issued Monday, said the spillage has become necessary to avert a possible collapse of the dam because of the sudden rise of the level of the dam from 46.2 feet to 48.1 feet within a 24-hour period. Management of Ghana Water Company Limited, JWCL, wishes to inform the public that it will begin spillage of excess water from the Wager Dam at 6 a.m. on Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. The safe operating level of the Wager Dam is 47 feet. However, the level has risen to 48.1 feet within a day, thereby prompting the spillage excess to prevent a possible collapse of the dam. Meanwhile, the Ghana Water Company Limited has asked the public, institutions and organizations who have properties downstream of the imminent danger and urged them to take the necessary precautionary measures. It has thus tasked the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and National Security, Bureau of National Investigation, BNI, chiefs, district assembly, opinion leaders, and other stakeholders around the dam to adequately prepare to avoid any eventuality. Moving on to other stories, Esiadu Nketia appointed to serve on parliamentary board. The General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, Mr. Johnson Esiadu Nketia, has been appointed to serve on the Parliamentary Service Board, PSB. He was appointed by the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban S.K. Badwin. Other members of the board are the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Leader of Government Business in Parliament, Mr. Osai Mensah Bonsu. The Minority Leader, Mr. Harunu Idrisu, and Mr. Abraham Osei Edu, who is a former New Patriotic Party NPP Member of Parliament and former Majority Leader. The Parliamentary Service Board is chaired by the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Badwin. Also on the board is the Clerk of Parliament, Mr. Cyril Insia. The appointment of the six-member board followed a recommendation by the Advisory Committee of Parliament to the Speaker. Reading the letter from the unnamed chairman of the committee prior to the House adjourning Monday night, March 29, 2021, Graphic Online, Nana Kunedu Ajiman reported that Mr. Badwin said, per the letter, some members of the committee expressed reservation at the appointment of Mr. Esiedu Inketia onto the board. It is considered by some members of the committee that the membership of Mr. Esiedu Inketia amounts to an undesired intrusion into the governance of Parliament by a political party and may not, in the circumstances, bode well for the independence of Parliament, since he is the General Secretary for a major opposition political party. Notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker is the person clothed with the authority to appoint the other four persons, who together with the clerk to Parliament constitute the Parliamentary Service Board. It is also our considered opinion that Mr. Speaker will do what is appropriate, he read the letter as saying. The Speaker thanked the committee for its advice and assured that he would proceed to appoint the persons named as members of the PSB. But I want to note that the former Parliamentary Service Board had Honorable Hackman Owusu Ajiman as a member of the board, and Hackman Owusu Ajiman later became the chairman of the Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party NPP. That one was intrusion into the governance of Parliament by a political party. What is good for the gander is also good for the goose. Honorable members, the board will be constituted and we will start our work, he said. Reacting, the majority leader, Mr. Osai Mensah Bonsu, said, while he might disagree with the speaker's ruling, he would not challenge him. The reason is, if I shall challenge every ruling, and maybe there is a debate on it, and Mr. Speaker's ruling is brought down, I have succeeded in doing it, inflicting a mortal wound on the chair, and that will bring the repute of his house down. I will never do that because it is for us to protect the speakership, and I will ever do that. So, I refuse any bait to challenge the ruling of the speaker, he said. On March 22nd this year, the speaker directed Parliament to exert pressure on the advisory committee to advise him on the appointment of four individuals to serve on the Parliamentary Service Board, PSB. He said the advice of the members of the committee should reach his office on or before Friday, March 26th, failure of which he would interpret it as an attempt to obstruct the performance of the speaker. According to him, until the committee recommended the names of individuals who were to be appointed to serve on the PSB, he could not, on his own accord, proceed to appoint the members, since that would constitute a breach of the 1992 Constitution. I am not a member of Parliament, and so I need you to be able to function. You may need to go back and consider the committee that you set up or put pressure on the committee to submit the advice of the House on who those members are. Then I will proceed to do the appointment. We will inaugurate the board and we will proceed to work, he stated. Speaking in Parliament earlier before the appointment of the members of the board, Mr. Badwin said, since I became the Speaker, Parliament Committee has not given me any advice, and I do not want to do this thing on a confrontation with Parliament. The Speaker gave the directive after some MPs has raised concerns over the absence of the PSB, a situation which was severely affecting the functions of the legislature, and sought to ascertain from the Speaker what was frustrating him in the performance of his functions. The MPs included the Members of Parliament MPs for Banda, Mr. Ibrahim Ahmed and Boko Central, Mr. Mahama Ayariga, both of whom belong to the National Democratic Congress (NDC). The Speaker said the committee which was supposed to advise him on the appointment of members to the PSB had so far failed and refused to perform their duty since he became Speaker. He said he had made several follow-ups after the advice of the committee, but as of today, the advice is not yet before me. I have been contemplating proceeding to appoint, and then your committee or yourselves will take me to court to say that I do not have that authority. But we need to have the Parliamentary Service Board in place, he stressed. He said there were many things that were pending to be executed by Parliament, but we cannot proceed on them because of the absence of the Parliamentary Service Board. The board is mandated to seek the welfare of members and staff of Parliament as well as promote other interests of the legislature. Its presence allows Parliament to undertake various procurement activities to ensure the smooth running of the legislature. Thus, during the absence of the board for this current Parliament, a number of persons who had duly been interviewed for employment into the Parliament service had their recruitment suspended as their term of conditions of service could not be determined by the board. Moving on to other stories, business opportunities from AFCFTA and NEMOS. President Akufo-Addo with Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says a very important plank of the new strategic partnership between Africa, Spain, and Europe would be strong support for the African Continental Free Trade Area (AFCFTA), which began trading January 1st, 2021. Speaking at the Focus Africa 2023 conference held in Madrid in Spain on Monday, March 29, 2021, President Akufo-Addo indicated that the AFCFTA will link all the 54 markets of Africa, covering 1.2 billion people, into a single market. It is the world's largest free trade area outside of the World Trade Organization (WTO) itself. By 2050, it will cover an estimated 2.5 billion people and have over a quarter of the world's working age population, he said. The president continued, imagine the investment and business opportunities offered by the infrastructure required to link our markets more effectively. And imagine the business opportunities that this huge market would offer for manufacturing and services firms from Spain and Europe that could establish production facilities in Africa to serve the African markets. With the enhanced growth that would result from all these, President Akufo-Addo stressed that the market opportunities for exporters from Spain and Europe could be truly amazing. Reiterating the commitment of African leaders to chart a new path of trade and investment cooperation with the rest of the world, the president explained that with Africa in possession of a vast endowment of resources, both human and natural, it is disheartening to acknowledge that African youth do not see a future in their respective countries and are willing to cross the Sahara Desert on foot to drown in the Mediterranean Sea in a desperate bid to reach the mirage of a better life in Europe. It is eloquent testimony to the inability of the current structures of African economies, producing and exporting raw materials, importing in manufactured goods and services from Europe and elsewhere, to generate the numbers of decent, well-paying jobs that Africa's youth crave, he said. As President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo told the gathering that the time has come for Africa, Spain, and indeed the rest of Europe to establish a sustainable strategic partnership based on trade and investment, cooperation on the exchange of value-added transactions. It would obviate the resort to aid, which has not achieved its purpose. Touching on the pandemic of COVID-19, he told the gathering that the need for global cooperation has been accentuated even further by the onset of the virus. We need to cooperate more, and we need to cooperate smartly. In the midst of all the complexities of the 21st century, our interdependence requires such cooperation. So, I applaud Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez for convening Focus Africa 2023 and for the brilliance of the Plan Africa the Third initiative, he added. In spite of the havoc wreaked by COVID-19, the president stressed the government is pursuing accelerated economic development through improved macroeconomic management, improved domestic revenue mobilization emanating from reforms in public revenue policy and administration, creation of conducive environments for businesses to flourish, tackling corruption and curbing excessive bureaucratic procedures. We are ensuring that all our children have unfettered access to education through our free senior high school policy. We are moving towards attaining universal health coverage for all Ghanaians through the National Health Insurance Scheme. We are processing more and more of our raw materials through our One District, One Factory initiative. We have become a net exporter of food under our program for planting for foods and jobs. And we are determined to move Ghana to a situation beyond aid, he added. In conclusion, he stressed that the Spanish Prime Minister that we have set our sights high, and to our friends in Spain and Europe, I urge you to join us in building a continent of prosperity and societies of equal opportunities for all. Moving on to other stories, Ghana is a haven of peace. Investments are protected. As most of you know, Ghana is a haven of peace, security, and stability. Indeed, the safest country in West Africa, where legitimate investments are protected. We have witnessed through the ballot box 3 peaceful transfers of power from one political party to another in 28-year period of the Fourth Republic. These were the words of the President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo when he addressed the business community in Spain as part of the Focus Africa 2023 conference in Madrid, Spain on Monday, March 29, 2021. Addressing the business meeting, the president told the gathering that between 2017 to 2020, his first term in office was spent correcting the fundamentals of the economy, which were all pointing in the wrong direction. We have, over the period, put in place measures needed to reduce the cost of doing business, improve the business environment, and made the Ghanaian economy not only one of the most business-friendly economies in Africa, but also one of the fastest growing economies in the world between 2017 and 2020, he added. With the economies of most of the countries in the world either in recession or recording negative growth, he noted that Ghana's economy was one of the very few that still managed to record a positive GDP growth. In spite of the ravages of the pandemic, we are working to grow the economy at a much faster rate this year. Our target being a 5% GDP growth rate, which will enhance the prospect of a win-win environment for both private sector and country. An environment where companies do not just survive, but actually thrive, he said. President Akufo-Addo told the gathering that the major program driving the revival and revitalization of the Ghanaian economy is the 100 billion cedi Ghana Cares Obatampa program, whose main elements include supporting commercial farming and attracting educated youth into commercial farming, and building the country's light manufacturing sector, developing engineer, machine tools, and ICT or digital economy industries, amongst others. It continues to be an exciting time to be in Ghana and to do business in the country. Already, global car manufacturing giants, Volkswagen of Germany, Sinotruk of China, Nissan of Japan, have established assembly plants in the country. Energy giant ExxonMobil of the United States of America is establishing an office and base in Ghana, and the well-known Norwegian energy company Aker is very much established in Ghana, and I believe it is for good reason, he added. He thus urged business community in Spain to take advantage of the business-friendly climate in the country to invest in Ghana. I am sure you have heard of some of my government's flagship policies of one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and the program for planting for food and jobs, which I commend to you as I do areas in water, health, housing, road and rail infrastructure, sub-transport, industry, manufacturing, agriculture, petroleum and gas, the exploitation of our mineral wealth of bauxite, iron, ore and gold, renewable energy and ICT growth, he said. A key challenge of the Ghanaian economy, like many other economies in Africa, according to the president, is its infrastructural deficit. We are embarking on an aggressive public-private partnership program to attract investment in the development of both our road and railway infrastructure. We are hopeful that with solid private sector participation, we can develop a modern railway network with strong production center linkages and with the potential to connect us to our neighbors, he added. Ghana, he assured, is rightly considered a beacon of democracy in Africa. In the same vein, we are determined to mark here an example of rapid economic growth within the context of a well-developed market economy. We welcome your contribution to this endeavor. Moving on to other African stories. In Somalia, Al-Shabaab calls for attacks from US, French interest in Djibouti. Hundreds of newly trained Shabaab fighters perform military exercises in the Lofafa area, some 118 kilometers south of the Mogadishu on Thursday, February 17, 2011. Al-Shabaab calls for attacks on US, French interest in Djibouti. The leader of Somali's jihadist group, Al-Shabaab, has called for attacks on America and French interest in Djibouti. In a video released Saturday night, less than 2 weeks before the country's presidential election, Ahmed Diriye, also known as Ahmed Umar Ubaida, lashed out at Djibouti's President Ismail Omar Guelleh, who has been in power since 1999 and is set to run a third term in elections on April 9th. The Al-Shabaab accused Djibouti President Guelleh of turning the Horn of Africa countries into a military base from where every war against the Muslims in East Africa is planned and executed. Make America and French interest in Djibouti the highest priority of your targets, he told followers in the video. Djibouti's strategic location as a gateway to both Africa and the Arabian Peninsula has made it a sought-after destination for foreign military bases. The former French colony hosts France's largest contingent in Africa, some 1,500 troops, as well as the United States' only permanent base with around 4,000 troops. Japan and Italy also have a presence in Djibouti, while China has had a port and military base in the country since 2017. Moving on to other African stories, in Mozambique, ISIS claims control on Palma in Mozambique. The Mozambique armed forces assure that they are fighting to expel in guerrillas from the town of Palma in northern Mozambique. The village fell into the hands of the judges between Friday and Saturday. The militias have been terrorizing the region since at least 2017, attacking the town on three fronts. There are several reasons for the chaos in the region, as Jackie Cilliers of the South African Institute for Security Studies explains. Now, the problem is that Mozambique has not effectively controlled the northern part of its territory. Western and northern Mozambique has been involved in ongoing wars and conflicts with the Renamo grouping that originally was established by the former Rhodesian security forces and the South Africans as a kind of an internal counter-terrorist group in Mozambique. It is a region that has suffered from poor governance, massive corruption, and this mass gas find, which offers potential to the region. But locals are not seeing anything. What they are seeing is hundreds of foreigners, including South Africans, expatriates, and elsewhere, coming in to build and to design and to provide resources. But very little of that is coming to the locals. And because of the organized crime component of this, the one feeds into the other, and eventually, desperate people resort to desperate means. The problem is that Mozambique has not effectively controlled the northern part of its territory. Western and northern Mozambique have been involved in ongoing wars and conflicts with Romano, which was originally established by the former Rhodesian security forces and the South Africans as a kind of internal counter-terrorist group in the Mozambique. So, it's a region that has suffered from bad governance, corruption on a massive scale. And then there is this massive gas discovery that offers potential for the region. But the local people are not seeing anything. That they do see are hundreds of foreigners, including South Africans, expats, and others, coming in to build, design, and provide resources. But very little of that is reaching the locals. And because of the organized crime component, one feeds off the other, and eventually, desperate people resort to desperate means. The population tries to escape the terror and death of the militias. According to witnesses, bodies of murdered adults and children are visible in the streets of the village. A boat with 1,800 people who fled the terrorist attacks is already in the city of Pemba. On board were 200 expatriates of various nationalities, many working for the Total Oil Company, who have taken refuge in the Amarula Hotel in Palma since Wednesday afternoon, when the armed attack on the town began. Mozambique has recently been living on the brink of a humanitarian catastrophe, with the massacre of populations, many people being beheaded in mass exodus. There are at least 700,000 displaced people, most of them seeking refuge in camps near the city of Pemba. Moving on to other stories, in Ivory Coast, trial in absentia of three pilots for 2004 Bouake bombing. Three men went on trial in Paris on Monday over the bombing of a French military camp in Ivory Coast in 2004, which killed 9 soldiers and sparked furious reprisal by the French, causing a deep rift in Franco-Ivorian relations. But none of them suspects were present in court, and their whereabouts are unknown. 2 Ivorian fighter jets were involved in the November 6, 2004 attack on French peacekeeping forces in Bouake, which was at the time in rebel-held territory. Flying low, one of the planes fired rockets into the camp, killing 9 soldiers and an American aid worker. 40 others were injured. The attack came during an area offensive by then Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo to try and reclaim the country's north, which had been in rebel heads since 2002. France reacted furiously, wiping out Ivory Coast's entire fleet of military aircraft, dealing a severe blow at Gbagbo's bid to end the rebellion. Relations between France and its former colony, which had already been fraught, quickly deteriorated. Violent anti-France protests broke out across the nationalist South. France, fearing for the safety of its nationals in Ivory Coast, airlifted thousands of expatriates to safety. On Monday, one of the two Belarusian mercenaries accused of carrying out the raid on the Bouake camp, Yuri Shunki, went on trial for murder, along with two Ivorian co-pilots, Angie Maglure, Nadulent Actually, and Patrice Ware. All three were among crew members caught on camera after landing at an airport near the capital Yamoussoukro following the bombing raid. If convicted, they face a minimum term of life imprisonment, but as their whereabouts are known, it is unlikely they will serve jail time in France. Relatives of the victims are mainly hoping that the trial will provide clues about who ordered the attack on French forces and why. Officials close to Gbagbo, who also toppled by French-backed rebel forces in 2011, claimed the pilots mistook the French camp for rebel positions. But some suspect it was a deliberate hit aimed at clearing a path for Gbagbo's forces to storm rebel-held territory, or that even France itself masterminded the attack on its forces to have a pretext to try chase Gbagbo from power. Among the many questions hanging over the affair is why France rejected an offer to have Shukrik handed over when he was arrested in Togo, which bordered Ivory Coast a few days after the airstrike. We want to learn the truth, the children of one of the victims of the attack, Philippe Capdevel, told AFP, adding, the silence of French authorities on this affair is dramatic. Moving on to other stories, in South Africa. South Africa court set trial date in Malema firearm case. South Africa's radical left-wing economic freedom fighters, EFF, leader Julius Malema is set to appear before the court on charges of unlawful possession of a firearm, ammunition, and 3 counts contravening the Firearm Control Act. The East London Magistrates Court said the trial will take place from August 23rd to 27th for the EFF leader together with accused Adrian Snellman. The duo are accused of discharging a firearm at a rally in Sisa Dukashe Stadium in Mbujani near East London in South Africa's Eastern Cape province in 2018. South Africa's National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson, Annalisa Nkagini, said they have a strong case against the accused. The state is ready to proceed with its case. The investigation of the case is finalized and we are ready to proceed with trial. We are confident of our case, says Ngakani. A video purporting to show Malema discharging a semi-automatic rifle during the 5th anniversary celebrations for the founding of EFF has been doing around social media. Malema has maintained innocence of the allegations and further refuted the video of a fabrication. Malema has been a firebrand opposition leader who fought former President Zuma over graft allegations until a step down in 2018. The EFF was founded in 2013 by Malema after he has thrown out as the leader of the ANC's youth wing. The national elections less than a year later, it won more than 1 million votes, taking 25 seats in parliament and becoming the 3rd largest party behind the country's Democratic Alliance, which holds 89 seats. Here lies the end of the local story. Stay tuned as I fetch you the foreign stories. You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at HitzAfrik Radio. Now let's do some foreign stories. In the USA, a senior scientist has warned that the US faces impending doom as coronavirus cases and hospital admissions rise across the country. On Monday, President Joe Biden urged state politicians once again to make mask wearing obligatory in public places. He also promised that by mid-April, 90% of American adults would be able to receive a vaccine. The US has recorded around 60,000 new cases daily for the past week. The director of the US Public Health Agency, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, was speaking at a White House briefing when she said she was going to go off script. I am going to reflect on the reoccurring feeling I have of impending doom, Mr. Rochelle Walensky said, adding, we have so much reason for hope, but right now I'm scared. New COVID cases have reached around 60,000 a day in the past week, a rise of around 7% around the CDC. Coronavirus cases, deaths, vaccinations by country. Imagine what 500,000 lost lives look like. Miami Beach emergency curfew over spring break chaos. Dr. Walensky said she did not want the US to face another spike in cases and deaths, as has happened in many European countries. Moving on to other stories. Nike's use over Satan shoes with human blood. Nike is suing Brooklyn art collective MSCHF over a controversial pair of Satan shoes that contain a drop of real human blood in the soles. The $1,018, 740 pounds trainers, which feature an inverted cross, a pentagram on the white Luke chapter 10 verse 18, were made using modified Nike Air Max 97s. MSCHF released 666 pair of shoes on Monday in collaboration with rapper Lil Nas X and says they sold out in less than a minute. Nike claims trademark infringement. In the music video, the rapper is seen sliding down a stripper pole from heaven to hell, wearing a pair of the trainers. Nike, H&M face China fury over Xinjiang cotton. New shoe tech is free time in races. Nike exec quits after Sans resale firm reviewed. Each shoe featured a signature Nike Air Bubble cushioning sole containing 60 cubic centimeters, 2.03 fluid ounces of red ink, and a single drop of human blood donated by members of the art collectively. The sports shoe giant says in a filing with the U.S. Direct Court for the Eastern District of New York that it does not approve or authorize the customized Satan shoes. Moving on to other stories in China. Hong Kong, China passes patriot electoral reforms. China has passed several changes to Hong Kong's electoral rules, which will tighten its control over the city, according to state media. The aim of the reforms is to ensure that only patriotic figures can run for positions of power. Critics warn it will mean the end of democracy in Hong Kong, keeping any opposition out of the city parliament. The changes mean that prospective MPs would first be vetted for their loyalty to the mainland. Beijing's rubber-stamp parliament first approved the plan during the National People's Congress (NPC) meetings earlier in March. Here lies the end of the foreign story. Stay tuned as I fetch you the entertainment news for this morning. You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. It's time for us to bring you the entertainment news. Kiddy announces Sokmufara album. The Golden Boy after winning Artist of the Year. Ghanaian Afro-pop musician Kiddy has announced his Sokmufara album. Just 2 days after grabbing the Artist of the Year. Ghanaian Afropop musician Kiddy has announced his sophomore album just 2 days after grabbing the Artist of the Year award at the 2021 Three Music Awards. The Lynx Entertainment label signee begged the coveted accolade at the just-ended Three Music Awards after beating Kwame Eugene, Stonebwoy, Sarkodie, Abena, Dinah Hamilton, Medical, and Family. The Golden Boy album, coming this June, has announced on Twitter on Monday, March 29th. Kiddy has 3 body of works. However, The Golden Boy is his second album and has 1 EP in between. His first album, titled Sugar, was released in 2019 and won the Album of the Year 2020 edition of the VGMAs, beating Sarkodie, Ochiame Kwame, Ken Promise, Joe Metal, Kwesi Arthur, and Nasi to secure the top spot in the category. His first EP, Blue, which was released last year, won the EP of the Year at the just-ended Three Music Awards. In other stories, Miss J grabs 100,000 Ghana Cedis Ultimate Prize from Talent Hunt virtual show. Talented female songstress Miss J has won the maiden edition of the Talent Hunt Live Evision show, in which she competed with 11 other young talented artists from Ghana. Miss J, after her massive win, has been awarded the grand prize of a recording deal worth 100,000 Ghana Cedis with Lynx Entertainment. After being crowned the winner of the virtual show, she made it known that, with this opportunity, I promise to release music that would be good and make an impact because I am really going to be a force to reckon with in Ghana's industry. Moving on to another story, American rapper J Bad posted a video of receiving BJ, says, I only enjoy sex during stress. One of American's newcomers, J Bad, has leaked his own sex tape on the internet and seems to not regret his actions. J Bad, who is known for his hit song Condemn, took to his Snapchat account to leak a video of himself receiving head from a slay queen. Petal stops Kisirali, Tete outcomes Haruna in Accra. Though the face of the slay queen didn't show, J Bad proudly showed his face. After the video went viral, he went on Twitter to show no regret for his actions. He reacted to the bashing from Twitter users, saying he has only sex to release stress. I only sex to release stress, he tweeted. J Bad is one of the top American newcomers who rode on the grill music trend to fame. His debut hit, Condemn, has featured City Boy, O Kenneth, Reggie, and Kweku DMC, has garnered over 1.2 million streams on YouTube. He also featured on Yao Talk's debut hit, Saw, and Kawabanga's hit single, Akata Folk. He also received a customized boot from American designer, entrepreneur, and DJ Vigil Abloh after his first song went viral on the internet. Here lies the end of the local stories and foreign affairs. Stay tuned as I bring you a recap of today's headlines. You're still logged on to HitzAfrik Radio and TV. Now the recap of today's headlines. GRIDCO in discussion with ECG over Dumsor timetable for April and July. Ghana Water Company Limited to spill water from Wager Dam. Esiedu Nketia appointed to serve the government. Al-Shabaab calls for attacks on U.S. and French interests. These are many other stories we brought your way this morning. My name is Abena Ahwinie. Stay tuned for more music and news at 19 hours GMT. Have a good morning.